Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Contingency Planning Workshop online. Today is Contingency Planning Workshop. My name is Levi Habashanti and I work for Carers Central. And Carers Central is an organisation that provides support to anybody that's an unpaid carer. And what we try and do, what we try and do is support everybody's well-being. Yeah. Okay. The main aims for the course today is to get an understanding of what contingency planning is, what a plan is used for, what should be in a contingency plan and why, local council resources in regards to emergency respite as well. Yeah. And obviously access information to create a contingency plan. Now, we do have a few ground rules, and one of them we ask for is confidentiality. So whatever we talk about in this setting stays within the setting. Respect other people's opinions. Be respectful of other participants. Avoid interrupting when possible. Stay on topic if we can. And encourage spirited discussions without descending into arguments. Now, does anybody else feel that there's any other ground rules that should be on there that I've not mentioned at the moment? Is that okay?
Yep, no show of hands.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Right, managing expectations. What I'd like to do is just go around the room and just get an introduction from everybody so we can get an understanding of who's in the room, who's a carer, who's not a carer, so we can, just understand who's in the actual room. So I'll start. My name is Levi Habashanti. I work for Carers Central. I care for my sister that's up to mental health issues, and I also care for my nephew as well.
Hello, I'm Kelly Campbell and I'm a trusted assessor who carries out the carers assessments.
Hi, I'm Sally. I work with Levi at Disability Resource Centre and Carers Central and supporting people in the community.
Okay, thank you everybody for sharing. If at any time anybody needs to leave the session because of what we're talking about, please feel free. Don't feel you have to stay in this session. The last thing we want to do is make anybody feel upset. So if you do need to leave the session at any point, it's totally acceptable. Okay, why contingency planning? Why should we consider it? The main reason why we should consider contingency planning is it gives carers a peace of mind. It helps to alleviate stress in the event of an emergency, and a plan should be communicated to all loved ones and professionals that you care for. Yeah. It also prevents crisis breakdown within admissions and a person being supported. And if actioned in a timely way, it can stop the person from being very distressed in that sense as well. And it's also about the person that's being left to support. So making sure that they're not stressed and trying to alleviate that stress. Yeah, support arrangements of replacement care and placement in respite care, if needed, can be done when you're doing a contingency plan, if you have the right services involved. But we'll talk about that a little bit more a bit later on. Yeah, this can support people to remain living at home if that's what they want, which is known to enhance a person's well-being. So ultimately, what a contingency plan tries to do is keep them in their own setting as long as possible, if possible in that sense as well, which allows and enables more efficient, coordinated use of services. Now, having this information, it's important to have it in one place. Yeah, a lot of people do have this information, but sometimes it's in many different places in that sense. So what we try and say is ensure that it's in one place, you have all the information in one place, and talk about the plan with the people that are there supporting as well. Yeah, because if you have a plan and no one knows about the plan, then the plan cannot be executed. So we try and say the more people that have an understanding about that, the better, and support you able to get as well. Yeah. Yeah. This could prevent a special situation further down the line and lift away from your shoulders and the person that's left to support you in that crisis. Now, what should be in a contingency plan? Now, generally, a contingency plan should contain the name of the person, the address of the person, contact details of the person you look after, yeah, and who you are, yeah, that should also be in there, and who else can be contacted in an emergency. That may include friends, family, or professionals as well. Details of any medication the person you look after is taking and where it's stored. This is very important in that sense, and we try and say responsibilities should be shared if possible, where possible, in regards to medication, know where they are, and repeat prescriptions. Description of illness or disability or condition. Yeah, the reason why it's good to describe the illness, disability, or condition is because some disabilities are not obviously seen. So when somebody goes to support, they may not be aware of what condition they have. So we always try and say, put the condition, illness, or disability in there. And we always say, try and put details of any ongoing treatment that they need. So if they're going to outpatient units, or they've got somebody coming in to change their dressings for them, all these things will have an impact and need to be sorted out when there is an emergency. So we try and say, think about these things beforehand, if possible. We also say note any allergies that they may have. Now, this may not just be any allergies to food, but this may be allergies to certain medications as well. Most of the time, it should be down in their file, but it's always good to have that information recorded in another place if possible. Details of GP and pharmacy, yeah, so that they can be contacted in an emergency if necessary. And any ongoing treatment that they need. Any care and support services that they receive. So if they have people coming out to them, district nurses, or they're coming to get checkups or something like that, then they will also need to be informed as well, and ensure that that continuation of support is there for the person who's being cared for. Any continence products they need and who supplies them. So if the person is not able to manage their own incontinence, then we always say put that information down as well, because you never know when that information may be needed. And sometimes the last thing you want to do is be looking through everything to find that particular part of information. But we always say have that information ready. Yeah, we always try and include any mobility challenges and any mobility aids such as wheelchair or hoists. This allows them to have an understanding if there's any specialist knowledge needed, or any specialist care that's needed to be provided as well. So we try and ensure that all mobility aids and challenges are noted down. Anything that's behavioural that others need to be aware. So obviously some conditions, they come with behavioural conditions in that sense. And in a time of crisis, that can become more prominent. So what we try and say is list that down so that they're aware of any issues in regard to behaviour. Incontinent issues we talked about before, and it's good to note those down. What food they like. I know it sounds sounds, but quite often what we find is that people, if they're having a change, they would like some continuity. They like the food that they like, gives them a little bit of comfort. So what we try and say is ensure you have their likes and dislikes down, what foods they like, what gives them comfort as well. Talked about allergies, defined routines. Yeah, if the person has a defined routine and that routine is paramount to their well-being, then we always say it's important to define that routine as well in that sense, because in a time of crisis, if a person's out of routine, then their sense of well-being can be a lot more distressed. And now we're not saying that you're going to get the routine exactly right, but there may be elements of the routine that you may be able to incorporate to actually alleviate some of the stress of the person as well. So we always say you can define the routine that you have. Triggers. This one is about triggers that can have an impact on the person's well-being. Sometimes this could be just noise. It could be lights. It could be anything that you consider having an impact on the person's well-being. This is very important because if this isn't noted down, then the person who is supporting or coming in would be unaware of what triggers is triggering the person, why it's triggering them in that sense as well. So we always say triggers is a very important, depending on the condition as well. Communication method. Now, not everybody communicates in the same way. So we always found it good to put in the communication method. Some people are unable to speak and use text. Some people, use sign language. Now, it's important that they have an understanding of what communication method they use as they have, so that they're able to communicate with them if they can as well. Main language. Again, some people have different languages, which is their main language. And sometimes in a crisis or in a time of illness, people want the main language to be spoken to them rather than any other language. So we always say, put the main language that the person's comfortable with being spoken to as well, in that sense. Memory issues. We always say put down memory issues just in case the person is unaware of the situation, or the person being supported is unaware of how to support them in that sense. So they're aware that they are forgetful, they do need to be reminded, they so they have an understanding of some of the issues that are valid as well. Now, carers assessments can also help and support you within contingency planning. Now, most contingency plans are executed by family members, friends, or other professionals, but you can get a carers assessment to look at what support you need in a time of crisis in that sense. Now, if there are no friends or no family relatives around, then support can be looked at in order to look at what care and support you need in a time of crisis. But you will need to get a carer's assessment in order to access this. And I know we've got Kelly Campbell here today, and she's a trusted assessor in that sense, and she provides a lot of support in regards to well-being and competency. So if you do need support in regards to accessing carers assessments for contingency planning, then you can go to the local council, and I'll put a link in as well. But carers assessments is not just good for contingency planning. What they also do, they have the ability to give you a sitting service once you've been assessed and have the financial assessments. Then you can have a possibility of a sitting service for up to 4 hours in that sense, or the possibility of a grant. So carers assessments are there to help and support the carer within time of crisis, but also within time of their general caring role as well. And if you do need to access one, then we will send you the details as well, so that you're able to link in it. Now, some councils have carers cards. At the moment, at present, Luton Council don't have carers cards, but we are looking, or they are looking at providing some kind of identification or support that will help us readily identify people that are in a crisis that are a carer as well. Yeah. And I don't want to say no more about that, because I do believe things are in development. Okay, so that's the end of contingency planning workshop, and I think we'll just open it up to a general discussion of how people have found contingency planning in the past and what support they've got from people or professionals in regards to contingency planning. Would that be okay? Does everybody have a contingency plan?
Catherine has her hand up.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Hi, it's Catherine from Alzheimer's Society. I just wanted to say it's a great list. You know, it does help you think about all the different things that you need to include in your contingency plan. For those people who are caring for somebody that has dementia, we've got a document called This Is Me that's very, very similar to that list. I was thinking as you were going through that list, Levi, you know, that they're all the things that we would ask people to write down in their This Is Me document. So that's another way that people who are caring for somebody with dementia can get that information recorded.
No.
Hi, it's Kate. I've tried to sit down with my sister. I'm the main carer. I've tried to sit down with my sister to put one together. I'll have to type something up, I think, and make sure that she gets a copy of it.
Yeah, and I think that can be hard sometimes with contingency planning, because it's looking at particular crises, and it's, you know, where some people don't want to think about that particular part of it in that sense as well. But it is important that you look at those particular elements to that degree as well. But if you do need support in doing contingency planning, then Care Central can help you.
Yes, sorry, Levi. It's also contingency planning doesn't have to be long term either, does it? It can be short term, so it could be emergency contingency planning.
Definitely, thank you very much. It can be very short term in that sense.
Yeah. So if it is short term, if you've got emergency contacts, maybe older children that can just step in, and just make them aware once they are in that position that they contact adult social services to let them and notify what's going on.
I have technically, Levi.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Obviously, we my partner's got children, but obviously they look after children with needs as well. But obviously, if anything happened to me, then there is a backup plan. But obviously, it can only be short term and not long term.
Yeah, most definitely. That's really, really good. And does it include all the areas we talked about?
Well, basically, yeah, we have got PAs as well at the moment, which gives me a bit of me time as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Is there anybody else that doesn't have a plan or has a plan?
Yeah, I haven't got a plan as yet, because I've kind of got a mental block, because I'm the only person, I'm the only family.
Yeah, and you can access the care assessment in that sense to look at, you know, contingency planning in regards to that as well, and that is what is there as well.
Can I just ask a question on what Angela just said? Obviously, if there's no other family, If something like happened to Angela, you know, she was taken into hospital and she's looking after someone, how would that get sorted with adult social care, you know, for quickness?
At the moment, because of no identification of carers cards, it would have to be verbal.
So you have to make sure that you're registered with your GP, that you're a carer. So when you go in on your notes, it will come up to show that you're a carer. So then it should be associated with who you're caring for.
Yeah, just on that, Levi, I don't know whether all practices have done it. I know some surgeries have done it in the last year. The problem is, if you're not at the same surgery, one surgery might do something totally different to another surgery.
I totally, yeah, I believe that's true, because I met one person the other day and I asked them about a contingency plan, and they basically said that their GP helped them to put one together and they was all supported, and that was the first time I've ever heard that in my life in that sense. And you know, I can't remember what GP it was, but you know, she was very happy with the support that had been given in regards to the contingency planning. And it was in regards to obviously dementia as well. So I totally agree with you, you know, because there's a lack of consistency within contingency planning and support out there. It makes it very hard to understand who's the owner of it as well.
Hello, everybody. There is a canister that you can buy. I was trying to think of the word. So there's a canister that you can buy to put all the details in for your cared for person, and you keep it in the fridge. But they know then.
Is it one of
That's
them,
the one,
Sally?
James. That's the one.
Called A Message in a Bottle, and over 6 million messages in a bottle kits have been distributed by the Lions Club, and it seems I think it's so that it's always in a safe place, people will be able to access the fridge easier, but paramedics, police, firefighters, social services support the Lions life-saving initiative and know to look in the fridge when they see the message in a bottle stickers supplied. So you will have to have the message in the bottle stickers in the home, but then I also think with the increase of diabetes, etc., and medication being kept in the fridge, that is probably going to be a likely place they're going to check anyway. They appear to be free.
They are,
so
yeah, they are free.
Yeah, I can share these across with everybody.
And I would also say that, you know, the local council does have a care of duty to help and support you with contingency planning. The 2014 Care Act does give them a care of duty to provide information, support, and where possible, actions to mitigate. And they do that by obviously providing this training, providing the carers assessment, doing assessments for you for that support as well. If you've not got a family member, then what you would usually have to do is request a carers assessment that would give you an assessment in regards to your risk and provide you with support when needed. Now, like we've said earlier, a lot of this is going through the GPs, and the GPs have to sign it off in that sense as well. And then that's when it gets locked in the integrated system. So it just depends on your situation. If you do have a family member that's able to support.
So where is it kept? In a computer somewhere, or?
A lot of people keep it in different places. Some people keep it in the fridge, some people keep it on the fridge, some people keep it in a folder.
Oh, this canister you're talking about?
Oh, the can thing is kept in the fridge.
It's kept in the fridge. I'm talking about if you haven't got the canister, the contingency plan.
Yeah, then you would keep it in a place where it's easily visible. So that
probably
could be a
pink folder with all the health stuff in it, because that's the first place the ambulance comes.
Right,
okay.
So yeah,
a copy of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I
was just you know, inquiring about where this is kept. That's all. So yeah, okay, that's what I can do then. A copy in the pink folder.
I have a heart condition, so I have a medical alert in my purse. So, and it's well known then, if you were to have an incident, if you were out on the street, that someone would check your purse for ID. And my medical alert's listed in there with any medication I take, any health condition, any health conditions I have. So I wonder if maybe that will probably be where the carer's car comes into play, and is certainly something that I know Luton Borough are looking into, just to try and get that extra support. But if there is a note inside that maybe you could put in there, just so you've got that extra thing on all this, all your cared for persons notes are and where they are, just so that is then easily accessible. It might just be an interim little bit of support should anything hopefully not happen, but for a contingency, it's good to have that as a little bit of backup.
If you have an assessment, a carer's assessment, your information's then taken and it is kept on a computer system with regarding the contingency plan as well. So it'll be on there as well.
Yeah, it's very useful. I mean, I'm still at the very early stages of caring, but I think that list is a sort of basic foundation that would be useful for any professional coming in or taking it to a hospital, or it's just a useful assessment. And I shall certainly have a look at the This Is Me one as well to compare what's in that. But because it being new, it hadn't even occurred to me really that that's gathering all of that together as a useful thing is a very sensible thing to do. So yes, thank you for that.
In my role as a social prescribing link worker, when people get referred to me, first thing I do is refer them to Care Essential to immediately get information that they need, to find out about needs assessment for the person they're caring for, a carer's assessment for themselves. And I must admit, I haven't extended that to saying to them, really, you should consider putting a contingency plan in place. But from today, that will be on my list of suggestions.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
And then the next thing, depending on where the person is in their need for support, the next thing the next people I refer them to is adult social care.
Yeah.
So, but what I've got from today is that I will definitely be mentioning a contingency plan. Well, it's never a bad idea for anybody, really, is it? But certainly someone with a medical condition that might need to or might accelerate very quickly at any given moment. But yes, I will certainly be adding that to my list of pointers, people that are carers.
Okay, thank you. Abdul, I hear from you.
This thing is new for me for consultant plan. I will make it and I share with my children who also supporting me sometime during the day. So I think it's very good knowledge of information.
Brilliant. Yeah, and if you do need any help and support, then we are here to help as well. Yeah.
Yeah, with the information that I've got from my partner and that, I actually keep in the folder where it's accessible to the family if they need it, and also it's got the carers assessment from adult social care in it, or from the assessment that the social workers do. So there is that people can put a folder either in the front room or next to the bed. So if anyone does come in, at least they can see that information.
Yeah, just I mean, contingency plans and plans for the future is something that we talk about quite a lot with people with dementia and with their carers. But I think it's probably worth saying that it needs to be a live document that you update as and when changes happen, particularly if it is something that's like dementia or Parkinson's, something that's changing over time. A person's needs increase over time, so to update the contingency plan as and when needed.
Yeah, it's just really, it's been a good session. And I think what we need to do, or what we both do really, when we're going out to home visits, we do discuss a contingency plan. The issue is when there is no family and no friends. So we need to put things in place, or need to help people put things in place so that they have something as well, to make sure that they get the care they need, really. I know that's not an unpaid carer type, but it's the same if we go into people's houses to make sure that they get those.
Yeah, I think that's very important because they're the most people that be most vulnerable in that sense. That should be left care and support, and quite often, you know, the person that is caring doesn't think about that aspect of things, or they don't know what support is available for them. You know what I mean? So I do agree with it's a very, very crucial part. Chelsea, from yourself.
I think it's been really good information. I think we've shared a lot of really great resources like the message in a bottle, and then medical alert for certainly for the cared for. I think there is a fee to that though, so I don't know how accessible that is. I've just been looking just to see, you can get like bands, like bracelets that say I'm a carer, which could also be really supportive for making sure that information's accessed in a timely fashion as well. But yeah, I totally hear that if you're just, say for example, a couple with no children and no family and friends around that particular immediate family, that it can become quite intense, and certainly putting in better things in place with the local authority to make sure that you're both protected. Yeah, it seems to be something that we're hearing quite a lot.
Definitely. And I know that we still can provide letters to anybody that's an unpaid carer, just saying that I'm an unpaid carer and who they care for in that sense. So if they keep it on their person and anything does happen to them, then they have some form of, not identification, but something that, you know, makes somebody aware that they do care for somebody else in that sense as well. And, you know, but that's something that could change at any time, but the letters are still available. Okay. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this part of it in that sense, and it's good to get some good feedback to that degree and get an understanding of, you know, some of the issues in regards to contingency planning that's still out there to that degree. I will make sure I get a draft document to everybody, which mainly explains what should be in there in that sense as well. Sally?
Yeah, just quickly, just an overview really. If there's anybody that needs any more support or help, then call us.
Okay. And we will be sending out feedback forms to everybody in that sense as well, just to try and catch us some feedback in that sense and get an understanding of what you would like to change in that sense in regards to obviously trade to that degree. But I'd like to thank everybody very much for their time. We have finished a little bit early, so we can go and have a cup of tea or a little bit in that sense. Okay.